Hey guys. Hey Rob, thanks for coming out. We're doing a after hours video today. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Thank you.
Good. You were doing the NQ today, right?
Yeah. Or the MNQ, the micros.
The micros. Yep, yep. There's a lot of volatility, so that makes a lot of sense. Especially with those
Yeah.
retracements, all that retracement almost went all the way back up
Yeah.
today. This is the ES. We'll look at ES first and then go back to the NQ. But definitely interesting. Flushed at the end of the day, because it was sliding down. Someone, Benedis had posted it looked like a low float stock. It really was just not, in a hard pounding down move. It was like low vol floating down. And
Right.
came down to the punch, sat here at 42.50 for the longest time, which was the 8 day one. And then finally broke that, went to the weekly three. And then I realized that oops, here it is. My monthly ones
Uh-huh.
are the ones that caught it.
I
So
see.
the monthly ones, this is 42.40. So initially they had their risk at 42.50,
Right.
and then 42.50 broke, and then 42.40. So, but you can see that was their hard line in the sand. It didn't even touch it.
Right.
And usually, if it comes into a white line, it's going to touch it and bounce or something like that. And they wouldn't even let them get close to it. So they must have had a put spread, I'm thinking, between 42.50 and 42.40.
Uh-huh.
And that 42.40 was the monthly one. And the 42.50 was the weekly three
Right.
and the 8 day three.
Yeah.
So, very
So
interesting.
those the dotted green lines are the weekly threes, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And this 42.45 is a three also.
That's a daily three.
It is, it's one of the
Yeah. So,
weeklies. Hang
uh-huh.
on one second. I think it's like a, one second. It's the weekly one open.
I see.
So the weekly one is your number of days in the trade week.
Right.
And then you can get 7 day and 8 day. And here's, well, hang on one second. Am I running two
Maybe so.
input series? Nope. Hang on one second. Here's my weekly one close, and that's your three, PTB3. And the other one is the weekly three open. So it's close and the open. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they're
Yeah.
right there.
They're
Okay.
right there together. The close and the
Okay.
open. Yeah. So that's what the two and the three are right there together.
I see.
With just different colors.
Okay.
So the one below it is your 7 day three, I think. And that definitely another 10 points down, probably had a spread on it also. So I'm thinking their spreads were at 42.40, 42.30
Hmm.
instead of the 42.50. I think the 50 was their first bumper,
Right.
but 42.30, 42.40, something like that. It would be nice of them to let us know what they're going to be using for their spreads, wouldn't it?
Right. Share a little bit of that
Yeah,
info.
that info. But here's your monthly ones, and they're definitely holding the risk. we're almost into the end of the month. So if they break this area, the 4240 and the 4218,
Right.
they're going to have to move their risk down.
Right.
And so they may have to do that at the beginning of the week. And then the market is going to be looking to this 4055, which is the put wall for that collar, for that um, quarterly collar.
Right.
So it does look like, that definitely has some targets on it for the market. Isn't there a 200 EMA around here also?
Good question. I should. Oh, I have my NQ open on my screen, but let's see. I can.
I'm going to put up 200 up here real quick. So here's changes to a 200 and hit apply and hope it's not the SMA. No, the 200 is way up there. It must be the SMA.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. The SMA was lower. Remember it was.
it usually is lower.
Yeah. Yeah. When it's moving up. Yeah. Let's see.
So it broke both
Yeah.
of them. So
Oh, look at that. Yep.
yeah, we broke both of them. So we're below, we're in bear territory now.
Right.
So going into next week, we have the end of the month, right? Here's the quarterly, going all the way down to 4115. So it's just like a huge drop
Right.
on the quarterly, but that doesn't come into play. This monthly one is going to be your line of defense.
Right.
So that 4200 really get taken out. It's going to be, flushing down pretty quickly, I think. Um,
And those monthly threes are like 40, 50 or so. Right.
4050, correct. 4050, right at the 4055,
Right.
um, and 4025.
Right.
So what's interesting is if this breaks the 4055,
Hmm.
the collar is a little funny, how that works. They're long. They want the market to be above that. So they'll be defending this 4050 pretty heavily.
Right.
But if it breaks, then they're going to sell. They're going to be selling into it to make up their losses because they can trade, right?
Right.
They have another lower strike, and so they'll be selling into this to make up their losses. And but for all intents and purposes, what I'm thinking is this 3965 is going to catch it. So I don't have the second number up. Let me go to my Twitter real quick. JPM color and get that level real quick. 3950, that lower one.
Uh-huh.
So that's below my 3965.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah. So what we probably, they'll do is be hitting my I'm trying to get a confirmation they roll it. Some of these I'm looking at were the initial order and then they change and move it before the end of the day. So I think that 39.55, 39.50. Yeah.
Uh,
So they're they're not going to let that happen. It they won't lose money, you know what I'm saying?
right.
This is their final line of defense. So they can actually make money sending it down there. So they can sell the 40.50, go down to the 39.65, and then bounce it back up if it's going to get that far. But that's
Right.
not till the end of December. I don't, we don't have to do all of that by next week, of course.
Right.
So 40.50, I think we'll probably end up touching it if we do continue downward, which I think that we're positioned to do,
Yeah.
given everything that's going on.
Well,
So,
if you look at on the daily, it's clearly a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we break the early October lows uh, on the daily, you can see.
let me undo this, bring it back up. There you go. Okay.
Uh, okay, that's daily or
Yeah.
that's
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a 30-minute. Pardon
okay.
me. Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, remember when I pointed out, at least on the Nasdaq, that the there was a retrace 61.8, and that it turned out I wish that I had faith in my observations
Mm-hmm.
to go short and hold it there because that would have been
A killer trade. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. When it
But
came back up here for that test. Yeah. I
I don't
remember
know
that.
if this is the same. If it's the same, it doesn't look like it didn't quite retrace like the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq retraced higher, but this, you can see it's trying to break that monthly one, and if it does, that'll confirm that it's a 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern because you have the one, or the one is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the top. The one is August 20th or so. Then it goes up to September 1st or
Yeah.
so.
July. Actually, the end of the
Yeah,
July, and then here's your September. Yeah.
right.
And then, yeah.
And then yeah, early October was the 3, and then 4 is mid-October, and then if this continues down, that's going to be your 5. So you know,
So, are you looking maybe for a measured move?
yeah, potentially. I mean, if you
Well, let's
draw
just
there,
yeah, let's just check this out real quick. So about 270 points for the first one.
yeah, and then the 3 is
Same.
usually
It's usually
longer.
it's
Three
about the
is
same.
usually three is usually longer. Elliott theory, Elliott wave theory. 3 is longer, and then 5 can be truncated. I mean, it can be anything. It can be long. It, but it tends to be um, theoretically it'll match
Well,
the
look how
sun.
interesting this is. This will get you down to my 3
Right.
around 41.26.
Yep.
So, but if they get it down here, they're going to be going for this 40.50 because that's like, a red cape to a bull.
Right.
They're going to be wanting to hit that. So
Yeah.
it'll get bumpy down here.
Well, especially all the
Mhm.
what's happening. The war drums.
Right, right. Well, one thing is sure, if there's anything, there's death, taxes, and J.P. Morgan's bottom color line, right? They're
Right.
not going to lose that line because that means they're really losing money, and that's not going to happen. So this would be an interesting put spread if when it gets down here
Yeah.
for a forever put spread. You know what I'm saying? Or
Hmm.
if they're because we are a long only market, right? We're not going to let
Right.
let sight of that go. So, and that would be like a triple bottom.
Yeah. Right.
hmm So potentially, I mean that it would be a really nice put spread. wait
Hmm.
for it to be really high volatility coming down.
Yeah.
So we can do put spreads now on the micros for options.
Right.
So that might be something to think about.
Yeah.
I mean, because like SPX is too expensive for a lot of people,
Yeah.
or ES options.
Right.
So either a SPY or a micro futures. I like the micro futures. I
Hmm.
might try one of those. That way, you can throw, a small order on and then just hold it for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And it's not going to kill you if it gets a little bit below it to test it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because it can sure get away from you fast.
Yeah.
Because those spreads are unprotected when you lose them. So let's look at the um, VIX. Just sort of did that sideways action today. It didn't really get out of our RTH period. It tried tried to hit the 2191, couldn't do it.
Uh-huh.
But more interesting to me is that 23-day one was holding price for so long, and then it market finally broke it.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
it is interesting. So that spread got broken
So 23-day VIX spread it closed on
just above it, 20
the,
cents
yeah.
above it. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
not quite 20 cents, 10,
Yeah.
13 cents, but
13.
it we're getting long vol.
Yep.
So this will change again. Now I'm using 5,000 days. So I had been using 3,000 days,
Right.
and I I might, want to go and just do a study on this. What's the difference between 3,000 and 5,000?
Right.
Um, because it can make a huge difference. Um, but the 3,000 works. I know it works because I've seen it get to the line many, many times. So you don't need the 5,000 days all the time. I think when it gets away from the 3,000, they'll move it to a 5,000 day. I think I'm figuring out their patterns.
Hmm.
They stay with the same level. They don't change it to like a 3 or something like that. They'll just change the data and move it from a 3,000 day to a 5,000 day.
Right.
And just to show you what that looks like, we'll put a 3,000 day on here. Um, okay, 3,000, that's my normal one. Put that in a new pane. Okay, so now I can close this up and go and put the 23-day one on the chart. I'll make it purple so we can see it. Let me go choose the 23-day one. I've got a lag here when I'm recording.
Let me see. Yeah.
So we'll make it lime green so it'll be real stand out. So there we go, 23-day one. Put it on the close and choose the second one, which is a 3,000 day. 3,000, yeah.
Okay.
So here we go. Hit OK. And Oh, it's on this. Pardon me. I know what I did. I have to put it on panel one. It's sitting down there in panel two.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh, it is. Here, wait. Last one. There we go. Yeah. Change it to panel one. There we go.
Uh-huh.
All right. So, I hope I didn't choose threes. Did I get threes? All that, and I screwed it up.
Yeah, probably threes, huh?
Yeah. Um, I sure did. Hang on one second. Fix this real quick. All right. Yeah. 1966. And
So they're it's pretty close to what you have going there.
mhm. Um, we're seeing vol. We're seeing vol come into the market. So, and that's making the vol crushers mad. They're sick of it. They're ready to crush their vol again. They don't like this. They were hoping that that 200-day didn't last long.
Right.
And I think they're going to have to find a new profession for the next couple of months because I think it's, or the next week at least, going through VIX, or that last week of OPEX. The
Yeah.
week after OPEX can move the market. I mean, the market can move directionally
Mhm.
typically. So, anyway, I think they're going to have to get over it and learn to trade vol. But we'll see. 4218, that's your monthly level. So down here, 4218. So we'll get it down there and see what happens then. Okay, probably
Yeah.
get down there tomorrow, Monday.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if we close, I mean, so we have, looking at the VIX, it closed the second day outside of this Bollinger Band also. Not, and that typically portends to a
Further move, right?
further move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you have your Bollinger on your daily.
Yeah, I have a Bollinger. Yeah,
Yeah.
220
Okay.
on my daily. Yeah, and it closed.
Above it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the 14, the 214, but
Uh-huh.
most people will use the 220.
Yeah.
I can put both of them on there. So let's take a look at the go down to the Nasdaq real quick. You were trading that today,
Right.
and it did the similar. Um, got in the middle, came back up, did that big retrace, and then drifted down and like sneaking its way down, and then before you know it, it was already all the way down again.
Right.
But we are on a quarterly level, so we've got a quarterly 14,650 was a big level. So when this breaks, you've got your triple bottom right here.
Hmm.
Gonna come down, and we've got that other. So I've got my 90-day, my 3 month, and my 12 week. So my last white lines are around 14, 195, 197, and so that will be the last dealer risk. And once that breaks, it'll start moving quickly to the three. the 2 and the 3 and the
Right.
quarterly. But we have a long time for that quarter.
Yeah.
So here is the monthly, and it's coming into its 200s. So
Oh, okay.
it'll
Yeah.
come down to 14.5, 14.415,
Hmm.
and hit those moving averages. That
Right.
200 SMA is down here at 14.303, which is at the monthly 2.
Okay. Yeah.
And so the ones are your first line of defense. So it's interesting that the ES is worse than the NQ. So that
Right.
just shows you that they're using NQ for their safety trade,
Yeah.
the AI,
Right.
which is nuts because, when has a tech stock ever made money, right? Just kidding,
Right.
right? There's only
Oh,
a couple that are holding up the market and they make a shit ton. So,
yeah. Well, Apple, crapple, as they
yeah.
say.
Well, they're not doing so good this last period.
Yeah.
So, but it's the AI for sure that's been holding up the market.
Hmm.
So, but definitely, I think we'll have an opportunity to see those monthly ones get hit and then see where we go. Um,
Yeah.
monthly 2 and monthly 3. Monthly 3 down at 14,062 and 13,964. And then these down here, I've got, 1378, 780, 13,704, 13,606. My last one. So
Right.
if it gets going, it can get down here. But let's go back and take a look at previous swings, and you can see that the dealer really does try to keep it inside my lines.
Right.
And of course, we got way below the bands there, and we're just a little bit below them.
Right.
We're sitting on top of them.
Right.
So,
Yeah. We had there was like three or four instances in 2022 and early 23 where it hit in the 30s. The VIX hit the 30s. So yeah, we still have potentially a long way to go with
hmm
the VIX. To get up to the 30s. I think it hit in March. I think it hit 30 or so. The VIX.
well, I, you know, I can see that happening, of course, with all the macro going on, but it is interesting. This would be a great put spread as well, I think. Doing this 13,600 and 13,780
Yeah.
because, just looking at past history, that they'll come in and protect the market at that point.
Right.
So anytime, it's the hardest thing to do because it's all red, red, red on your screen, right?
Right. Right.
And I'm the only one on the internet going, buy the BTFD.
Right.
Everybody's like, throwing things at you.
Well, right. And I was talking about that reversion to mean guy that does those reversion to mean trades, and he cleaned up because basically he bought more at the lower level, but he he also held on to some of his trades, and they
hmm
came back down to bite him. So I
hmm
don't know where he's at. I haven't looked at it, but
hmm
yeah, it's kind of like that. That reversion to mean is when
hmm
you basically get out of balance. When the market goes in one direction,
hmm
it typically bounces back. But
Well, yeah, it actually, the bounces are better when it's coming in really hot like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Which when you look at it, we had a 50% retrace on that that early October bounce to the S&P. We had a 50%, and the NQ had a 61.8%.
hmm
You draw. you draw from September for whatever the high is in late August
Hmm.
down to early October, and then that you can see it's a 61.8 retrace.
Pretty perfectly. You really could have had that. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would you were
that top there.
you went the first top or the second one?
Well, that one there, that high
Okay,
there,
okay.
and then go to that first low.
The first one
Yeah,
right there.
that's. I mean, they're within
Yeah,
spitting distance.
yeah. And I can right click, go to properties, and reset this. Template reset. Okay, and I'm going to extend right lines. There we go.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So you got your that 30. Yeah, that 61.8. It went above it, but
well, I might
just
not
that
be
one day.
perfect on the lines
Yeah,
too. So,
yeah,
um,
that's pretty close.
yeah, pretty close.
Yeah,
And moreover, it went to the monthly one
right,
because that's where they reject at at the ones, right? The
right.
dealer's going to sell that one in a down
Yeah,
move,
yeah.
and they're going to buy it
Very,
in an up move.
very interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
I really got to think longer term, for this kind of stuff.
yeah.
At least like with a micro, with a
Well, that's
single
where you want to
micro.
position. You want to.
Yeah,
There's really no reason, I don't think, to buy options because
right.
we have the micros. We
Yeah.
can throw a one lot micro around that level
Right.
and
Yeah.
hold it forever.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't buy this one. I mean, I wouldn't throw a one lot on that to save my life.
Yeah.
But
Well, because the direction is down. Yeah.
well, and in this, the 200 is SMA's right below it.
Right.
So I would want confirmation. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
would want
Yeah.
an up day or something like that to get something to stand behind it. But yeah, when it's down here, I definitely if I got so lucky that it got to my 3 or something like that down here,
Hmm.
there would be a really good decision to make it a one lot
Yeah.
micro.
Yeah.
Like I said, because we can just open our eyes, I mean, and just go back and look.
Right.
That's where they come in, right? They're not. I mean, this one dipped down a little bit, scared a lot of people.
Yeah.
But this is when Powell was trying to break the market. I don't know what the hell he was doing that first time. And he did break it. This was COVID right here.
Right.
So that was COVID. And then Powell came in and,
Well, that's December. That wasn't COVID. I mean, not the original COVID, right?
oh,
That's
no, no, no. Okay, you're right. This was, wait, I thought that was March. No, it wasn't.
yeah. Well, that was that first big heavy downdraft, and
That was Powell too. Yeah, this was
yeah,
Powell. That Jay Powell did that. He broke it. He sure did. But it doesn't happen very often.
right,
So, and given the current macro backdrop with as much of the plunge protection team trading as they have been lately,
right.
have you noticed that? They've been really supporting the market,
Yeah. Well, I mean, who else is supporting?
capable of putting that much size into it. Yeah.
Right?
So, I mean, it's a good obvious guess, right?
Yeah.
Um, so with that backdrop, I would say, yeah, we could pretty much count on this level of participation when it gets down here. So, did you want to look at gold or crude or anything?
Yeah. Well, I noticed gold. I think was at 2,000 today.
Oh, look, it got down here to my 7-day 3.
What are you looking at?
The
Oh,
NQ.
uh-huh. Yeah.
So, yeah. And so these spreads got challenged today for sure.
Right. Yeah. Look at that.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And they've got 4 minutes to try, try to get it up above it.
and that's 7 and 8 at the same
No,
place,
no,
right?
no, just open and close. The eight's up here. It broke the eight early, came down to the sevens. Now, I think they give themselves a 10-point variance, and I
Yeah.
know that they have a variance if they're trading a split spread, so it doesn't have to be exactly on the line, but you can see that they keep it very close to it. So that 14,650, and they can't buy an option at 653. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no option at 663, so it would be 650, and
Right.
that's where they're keeping it right above it. So they're actually keeping that spread.
Hmm.
This is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
14,650
Interesting. You look to the left and you see all those other
wicks. Yeah,
candles,
yeah,
the
yeah.
wicks. Yeah.
I saw the wicks too earlier,
Yeah.
and that made it real choppy too,
Right.
because people are going to try to hit those wicks
Hmm.
buying them. So, but you can see that that 650 is on the 7-day spread right there.
Hmm.
So, and you've got what, a couple of minutes, 3 minutes for the market to try to break that.
Right.
I guess they're not going to, or would have done it. So dealer keeps it spread. They lost it just a little tiny bit and pushed it back up.
Right. Yeah. This is weekly expiration. So
Hmm.
here you
Hmm.
go.
Yep.
Amazing.
It is amazing. And that just shows you, the power of, knowing what these levels are and what they're doing.
Right.
So, it's not always bounce when you get to the level. It can just sit here and go sideways like this
Yep.
for hours. Yep. So the market didn't want to, there's no buyers, right?
Right.
Nobody's
Yeah.
buying it, but they're not going to sell it either. They can't because the dealer's blocking it.
Hmm.
Let's just take a quick look at gold. Okay. There it
Yeah.
goes. Okay, sorry, it went back to NQ. Hang on one second, let me change it now. So gold is getting bid. It's usually seasonally bought in September,
Hmm.
and it did get bought in September. Um,
Yeah.
but it is so manipulated. It's a very hard instrument to trade. A lot of the central banks were buying it up,
Hmm.
and now the Eastern central banks, China, India, of course, are buying it like it's going out of style.
Right.
But and the U.S. is supposed to have the most reserves anywhere, right?
Hmm.
But look how flat that is and choppy.
Yeah. Well, that's the Globex,
Yeah,
and then
well, this isn't set up. This is set up for the another instrument.
mhm.
Their Globex is like at 17. What is it? It started at 7:30 in the morning. I've got to change that for that market. But
Oh, I see. Yeah, for the
yeah,
gold.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you can see here that the daily three was blocked
Uh-huh.
and came down to the daily two. Pretty good.
Yep.
And there's your daily one, two, three right there, and then another daily one, two, three one on top of it. But let's look at the weekly real quick and get a higher time frame picture. Um, Definitely, moving up. and trying to reach for these higher levels. 2007 got hit. Let's look at monthly. That'll give us a bigger picture. Oh, look at here. It went to the monthly one and touched it and came back.
Uh-huh.
So that's where the dealer sells it. Remember? So this may be as high as you get until the end of the month.
Uh-huh.
If they break that, then they have to move their risk,
Yeah.
and then it can really fly.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm from a very long term, I've been a gold bug in general.
oh, look down here. Look at Rob. Look down here. A monthly one.
Uh-huh.
So it went from monthly one to monthly one.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta keep the gold on the long term charts, keep them going. You have a
Hmm.
daily here. Yeah. Well, I know that you know I knew that that low last earlier of the month was buy with both feet, you know,
Hmm.
because and I didn't. I bought some. I bought some, but I'm already positioned in gold and metals. So, but yeah, it's long term. Um, if it ever breaks out of that 2140 level, they've already hit it three times. So the next one, it's going to punch out and create a potentially a big market, a multi-year market. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking might happen given our shaky monetary system.
Hmm. Well, there are a lot of gold, traders,
Yep.
and always have been, and they are very much aware of who's buying what the miners are doing. When gold came out of COMEX to China to Shanghai,
Right.
um, I knew that there was going to be a new world order, basically shifting gold
Hmm.
to the east, and they don't do any of the reporting like we're used to seeing.
Right.
It's hard to get data accurately from them, so their CBDC is supposed to be backed in gold,
Right.
and we're preparing a CBDC that's going to be backed in magic treasuries.
Magic treasury.
And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Old. We're gonna watch Powell pull a rabbit out of
right.
the
So
hat.
would
Magic,
if you
magic treasuries.
right if you were going to buy a CBDC, I guess I don't
There's a
know. The question is, would you rather have it backed in debt or would you rather have it backed in gold? I just don't see how they're going to compete with that. I don't know.
We're
I
gonna
guess
call
it.
him Jerome Powell Copperfield.
Yeah, Jerome Copperfield. I don't know. Um, it's hard for them to sell the debt to themselves back and forth. It's like a football, right? Here,
Yeah.
you take the debt. No, you take it.
Yeah. Well, it's it's an interesting phenomena that's
It's an
happening.
interesting fix that they've gotten themselves in. So that's why they have old Klaus, right? For the reset.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
They'll just wipe it all off their books, issue the CBDC and say, "What debt? It's not on this balance sheet. There's no debt on this new CBDC balance sheet." I don't know. It's just, it's just all fugazi.
Hmm.
But these ones are magical. This is what the real magic is.
Yeah.
Looking here at the monthly one, this is just crazy. And then coming up top, that looks like a 90-day one. But
Wow.
I mean, for people who are listening to this, and I'm going monthly one to monthly one, the bell curve has a bottom and a top. And so, let me just show the picture real quick so they'll know what we're talking about.
There you
There
go.
you go. So here's your one, right? You've got an upward, the top one, the mean, and the bottom. And
Right.
so this 68% is where the
Most of the
value most of the
most of the
time
time.
is.
Yeah.
But a month can be divided different ways. You can have 4 weeks, you can have 30 days, you can
Right.
have trade session days, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes there's a holiday or something. Number of days in the months change. So there's different ways to slice and dice your data, and that's why I have different ones, and I can do it from the session open and close as well.
Right.
And so it can get a little bit confusing. It's like which line are you focusing on for your support resistance? But it really, really does hold true that, the dealer uses that 68% most of the time, and when that 68% breaks, that's when it moves to the 2 and the 3, right?
Hmm.
There's no sense trying to shoot for your outer ranges until those ones break. And you do see it moving from one to another one.
Hmm.
And and getting your number of days right makes a big difference too.
Right.
So I'm learning all of this as we go along, just trying to see where the dealer is coming in and hitting this. Obviously, you see the market was buying this 200,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
So those are your obvious places. I've got when you can match something like that with, your bell curve, then you can really try to come around here and fine tune a position so that you're able to cast a position for longer term.
Right. One thing that I notice just looking at the nature of the thrust up that we just had in gold, it looks kind of similar to the March thrust up. You see how
Mhm. Mhm.
that happened. I mean the same angle,
Mhm.
uh,
It's a
and
straight parabolic basically.
well, but
Yeah.
you see how that it just kind of kept going. There was
Yeah.
retraces, but it just kind of muscled through,
Right.
and that could potentially happen here as well. I mean, it just of course, yeah, the monthly one is definitely is resistance. Is that monthly or is that 3 months?
I was just gonna. Well, this is all monthly, so it's either a 4 week or a 30 day. Let me look. It's a 1 month close.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a strong one. So that's
Yeah,
your.
we got 11 more days for this month to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if that breaks, then you're going to be, going right away to your twos and threes. Let's just take a look at the quarterly real quick. There's nothing in the quarter coming up. Okay, but you had more quarterly resistance also. So you've got quarterly and monthly. It's a pretty strong
Yeah.
area.
Okay.
So gold may, have capped out or topped out for
Yeah.
just a little while.
Yeah.
They could literally walk it sideways,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
and then break out. And it
Yeah.
could pull back to this EMA,
Hmm.
the 200 EMA.
Right.
So it did break away from the 200 SMA,
Hmm.
but the 200 EMA is way down here. So you could. That's probably what the market will do.
Hmm.
It'll
Potentially retrace to there.
yeah.
Yeah.
In the as this comes up, and
Right.
then at the end of the next week after next, or end of month. Month isn't really next Friday though. It
Right.
extends
It's yeah, the 31st is like Tuesday,
Tuesday.
isn't it?
Yeah, so there's quite a few days left. So
A week.
maybe they can break it and make the dealer move their money. I know the dealer doesn't like to move their money, but that's what,
Right.
breaking those levels
Well,
are for.
also the world is, there's
Yeah.
how if the Fed is strong, and the European, the various, the European Union with the, I mean, basically it's the BRICS versus Europe and America, and
Mhm.
it's kind of the mindset, but it's interesting because there's definitely a lot of stuff going on with this whole, this whole um, thing that we're doing as as a nation. Yeah. Anyhow, yeah, very interesting.
Well, could potentially make them move their risk and bid that up quickly. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to come in here and see an instrument I haven't paid attention to
Yeah.
and see that it hits my standard
Right. Well,
deviation levels just right there and boom.
that's really something. I
Yeah, it
mean,
is. It is something.
why was I sleeping on that one?
Yeah.
Because I do pay a lot of attention investment wise to gold and miners and stuff. And one thing that I follow is on that big sell off, what tends to happen is that the miners tend to have relative strength over the value of gold. And once that happens, then it then that kind of confirms a trend. You
Mhm.
know, so the miners, gold will when gold is going down. Well, when miners anyway, there's a offset from miners versus the price of the metal. You know, and when the miners are relative have relative strength to the price of the metal, then it's time to buy. It's time to buy the metal, or time to buy the miners, or either one. But um, it there's kind of a lag from the metal to the miners, right? So there's when the miners develop their relative strength, then it's a good time to buy the metal, and vice versa.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of people who are well versed in gold. I'm not.
Right.
So, but and I know some people who got into gold really early on and were lucky to just get in it and let it continue to raise
Yeah.
higher, you know, from 500.
Yeah. Well, I'm
I,
not.
I, I do know a guy
I,
that got in gold
I
at 500.
Yeah, I bought a fund in like late '99, for my IRA. I put it in gold, and I only held it for like 6 months, you know to the first, to where it got overbought. But it was one of those things that's a 20-year trend. So
Hmm.
yeah. Anyhow,
Well,
that's the breaks.
well, it's definitely going to go back and break 2000. Just
Yeah.
see when that will happen. Here, I did this swing Fibonacci
Right.
swing, so people are going to be looking for this 50%, right? That it
Uh-huh.
hasn't gotten hit,
I see. Yeah.
which is above your monthly one. So you've got a huge.
21 or so. Yeah.
Pardon me.
It looks like 2021 or so.
2021 exactly.
Yeah.
I know, and that approximately, from the swing high to the swing low,
Right.
50%. So that is, it looks like a monthly two level. Um, so that looks like your first target, 2021, and then they'll be looking for that.
Well, actually, no, that's a 61.8. Your
Oh
50,
yeah, yeah, your 50's down here. You're right. That's a 61.8. Yeah.
yeah, which that's a valid target as well. But yeah,
Hmm.
the 50 is it, it can turn.
So
See what
maybe
happens with
so
that,
maybe they
Tim.
do
Well,
break that 2007 and take it up to 21 and then back down. We don't know what's going to happen to
right.
the end of the month, except for, they could break it. They could just absolutely just let it fly because of all the macro that's happening. The DC is an absolute mess. There's two hot wars, and there doesn't seem like anybody's happy. And so we'll see what happens. So people are bailing out of the money market funds,
Hmm.
which is scaring, the repo market. I didn't look to see if the repo market spiked, but I heard that money market funds were losing customers, and equities are being sold.
I see.
So gold definitely could be getting the bid, right?
Hmm.
Where's the money going to go? Bitcoin
Right.
and gold
Yep.
and
Well,
oil?
yeah. There's a lot of people that are bullish on Bitcoin as well,
Oh yeah,
for that reason.
yeah. Especially since BlackRock, right, signed off on it, and yeah, getting an ETF.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Well,
I have a bit of my risk in Bitcoin. Well, yeah, Bitcoin stocks, and I bought a bunch of this one called Wolf, WLF, and because it was trading at 4 a couple months ago, and now it's at it's at one and a quarter. I mean, it's just the relative price fluctuation is incredible with the Bitcoin stocks.
let's take a look at Bitcoin. I don't get enough data to get some of the higher time frames like the monthly,
Uh huh.
but I can get the weekly.
I see. Uh huh.
Let's take a look at it real quick. But I know that it was going to 30,000, right? Looking like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It was. We got the 30-minute. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was. Yeah, further back it was. It had approached it. It did breach 30,000 today.
Yep, it did. And it looks like a little spike. They hit it pretty hard. So we also broke the daily threes, right? Or the weekly threes.
Hmm.
Got to the first tail, almost to the second tail.
Wow.
Didn't quite get up to 36, so 3605. So very cool. Look at this over here where it went right up to the 3,
Uh huh.
pulled back. They shot them down here and pulled them back to that weekly 3. So there's dealers trading these spreads. That's what you're seeing here when that happens.
Right.
They pushed them back in so that they could close back under it.
Yep.
29,700 probably. Yep, got it just under the close. And that's what happens with those dealer spreads. As long as it's like a point underneath the line, they get to keep the money, right?
Uh huh.
And they're not going to lose money. So you have to be really careful at the end of the week, end of the month, end of the quarter to look at these levels to see where dealer has to be to get paid. Don't fight the dealer.
Right.
So, but that was pretty cool. That looks like a V top potentially, but we know
Yeah.
that's going to keep going. So 315 um, potentially for next week.
Hmm.
So
That's a weekly three
yeah,
or
that's
a
for
day.
that is a uh, let's look to see what that is. Boy, this lag is awful. It's not pulling up. The Bitcoin does not have um, enough data, and I should not have loaded it with the quarterly and monthly
Let's see.
sitting here. So I'm probably out of CPU
Right.
also. So the orange, yeah, it is a it
Well,
could yeah
it's a multi-day
it could
anyhow.
be a 7 day or 8 day
Yeah,
three is what
yeah,
I'm thinking. Yeah.
yeah, probably so.
Well, that brings us to the end before my computer crashes because I've put all this data on Bitcoin and there's no data. So NinjaTrader just sits there and spins,
Right.
trying to read it, and it's not there. There it comes. It was an 8 day.
8 day.
Eight
Okay.
day. Well, that was like a 15-minute later
Eight
lag.
days a week.
8 days a week. Um, yeah, those are cool levels because the options start on Thursday and go through the next Friday, so that's 8 days.
Right.
Yep. So the 7 to 8 day spread.
Now, what if you picked the options so that because your beginning days start, the it would be interesting to have those options like the 8 day, start on a Thursday, prior Thursday, and just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
repeat like that, and have those draws.
And that's what you do. Yeah, you would choose 8 days, and there's your line,
Right. Yeah.
and just keep checking it to make sure that the distribution didn't change
Hmm.
each day. And if you need to roll it out a little bit, you can.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. That's something to consider for to see, to be able to observe the the characteristics of the market,
Well,
through those times.
exactly. Especially since you want to get into a system that is going to pay you much more than you lose, right?
Right.
So if I were to remove all the lines off of here except for that 8 day,
Right.
let's do that real quick and I'll so there's a 1 week, remove that. There's a 7 day, I can keep that. There's my 8 day, I can keep that. 7 day, keep that. 8 day, keep that. Then I can get rid of these. Hit OK. That should make it a little bit clearer.
Hmm.
Yep. So you can see that the dealer comes in at these ones, right?
Right.
Because that's their cheap risk.
Hmm.
And they don't want to have to move it.
Right.
And so if you're going long, you always want to be looking at that lower one, whatever, time frame you're trading, weekly, monthly, whatever. For the bottom, if you're short, you want to be selling the top.
Right.
So we're definitely long. So anytime it gets to a one, you want to be buying it
Hmm.
or trying to get a position there. But as far as the outside spreads go, you know, they
Well.
they keep them inside the threes, and they don't. That's your world. Oh, here it broke.
Hmm.
It did. So what was going on at the end of August?
Hmm.
Maybe there was a monthly. There's probably a monthly because I do notice that whenever a weekly breaks, there's probably a monthly right underneath it that the market's getting
Right.
to.
Right.
So,
Well, I know that's when the dollar. Well, you were looking at August. I forget what the time the situation was, but yeah, yeah, they basically, were yeah, there was a tough time there. What's the level there? 2026.
Yeah, 26,000. There was either a quarterly or a monthly sitting here,
Right,
or something was going on with the SEC or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
right,
So, but that is unusual. That's an anomaly. Um, but it's good that we talked about it because it's not always going to be nice and flowery and inside the ones.
right.
You do have to have a plan to exit your trade if it goes below your uncle line, and
Mhm.
your uncle line needs to be right there
Right.
because as you see that it didn't go back, it kept
Yeah.
going,
Yeah.
and you can just lose a ton of money.
Hmm.
You could lose everything.
Right.
So you see how it spiked back up here
Uh-huh.
and then it broke it anyway.
Right. Yeah, interesting. Yep.
hmm Went right to the one. Oh, look. Went right to the one and came back. They sold it.
Right.
So if they're short, they sell the ones.
Yep.
Uh, and then if you're long, you buy the ones. And this is where we need to be focusing.
Yep.
And there's really, like I said, you can buy the put spreads or the call spreads, but you just use a micro. You don't have to use an option. It's about the same, I think. I
Right.
think a micro is about the same as a SPY. And maybe the micro ES options.
In terms of the SPY options, yeah. Well, micro. Okay, so what are we trading at? 40. Let's say 42.50. 42.50 times $5. That's the value of a micro. So 42.50 times five. That's 22,000, 21 something, 21,500, something like that. So, yeah, spies trade. Anyway, there is a ratio. You can figure it
Mhm.
out.
Mhm.
It's like I think each micro is like 200 spy shares or something like that. Something to that effect. I
Okay.
forget.
Well,
It can be figured out.
yeah, I think though that, half a dozen to one to another, if you're into options, you're going to stay with options. If you're into futures trading, you might try a micro.
Right,
Right.
right.
Because the support resistance are basically the same for both.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, I was noticing if I bought one micro on that 61.8 retrace,
mhm.
in
Mhm. NQ.
October. Yeah, the MNQ, that would have been say at 15,400, and then it closed today at 14,650. So it was like basically a $1,500. Um, that would have been a $1,500
Micro move.
move. Yeah, yeah, or 15K if you're
Yeah,
doing
if you're just doing one contract,
if you're doing the big or the minis. Yeah,
just the minis,
yeah.
just on one. I know. It can really add up if you're going multiple contracts too.
Right, right,
So, yeah, it's interesting. Just pick your spots. One of the volatility traders did say that if you're going to follow technical analysis at all,
right.
the only thing that you should be looking at is support resistance.
Hmm.
He said supply demand, but it's the same thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So, we came right down to my line today. Look at that.
yeah, yeah. We pretty much closed on the low too. Look at that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 16,649.
After
So
after a week.
you missed by $1 your spread at 16 14 650.
Mhm.
So they busted the spread on the NQ.
Hmm.
Hmm. Unless the dealer was down here at 14.6.
Mhm.
Could have been rolled it down here. Um, NQ is very much thinner for options than ES.
Yeah.
Not many people trade the NQ options, I don't think.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would definitely use a micro versus an option for NQ.
Yeah. Well, it might be. It's I mean, it came down strong. I mean, we've had a yeah. The whole week's been down. I mean, it's been moving down pretty good. Yeah, 16th. Yeah. So we have 4 days of yeah. We went from 15,300 to 14,650. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. That's quite a that is quite a move.
Yeah, it
I mean,
was it was nice.
on your weekly, it's probably close to a three. What's the
528.50 for a weekly PT3.
yeah? I think we
And I think we
exceeded
broke
that.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's check real quick. So if we go
I think
from
just yeah, either one of those. Yeah,
this high to this low.
yeah, we're six
Oh
hundred.
yeah, 655.
Yeah,
Yeah, we broke it. And that's typical of when you go with downside ranges.
right,
You're going to break it.
right.
So, what's interesting though is if we put this back at 528,
Hmm.
usually I was going to say you see support resistance, but not, you didn't really here.
Well, I mean, it was overnight. It was a
Yeah,
Globex
yeah.
support. Yeah, you had a little bit, but
No, it's just too much. There was just too much of it coming off today. I mean, it was just red, red, red all day.
mhm.
The whole market analyzer was red all day long,
Yeah,
all day. Just,
yeah. There,
just
the
you
five the
just don't
five
buy
minutes
that. You just
five
wait for
minutes
it to,
were
yeah,
green.
yeah.
For I mean, there were a couple of candles that were green, but
But yeah, you
I
just
was,
wait for it to turn around.
and my comment was correct, and I didn't follow through. I remember we were going back and forth. I said 2 o'clock. Oh, it's looking a little weak.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're heading down, and
Mm-hmm. It
yeah,
did.
that's
But it was like low floating. I mean, Infinitus was right. I mean, it's like the market was like a low float stock for most of the afternoon.
yeah,
And it waited to the very end to dump. And
yeah,
it was this weekly one that broke it
yeah,
and then went down to the 7 day and 8 day.
right.
Yeah. Well,
Very interesting.
very interesting. It came up to the Globex one.
Yeah, yeah. It touched that.
It touched the
It
Globex one and took back off. Yeah.
yeah,
It went above the daily one. The daily one was sitting right there. There's something that my
yeah.
daily's not
No,
off of here.
I know.
Um,
Yeah, and it was very. It was. It's interesting watching watching those candles because they have these candles and then they drag people in, and that's what happened to me. I had a big candle and it dragged me into a trade and it was the
oh, right,
uh,
right. And then, of course, it turns right around.
turns around and just goes the other way
Hmm.
with no.
Because they're just range trading. They're just
Yeah,
trading the ranges.
right,
So to them, it doesn't matter up or down candle.
right,
They're just hitting the range.
right, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the time to sell because that was yeah, that because it did touch the overnight low, and I thought it was gonna touch the Globex high, but it didn't. It was a little bit short, this
This
morning.
right here, it did. It touched it.
Well, no,
14805.
I'm talking about in the morning.
Oh, oh, in the morning session. Yeah, no, it got squished.
It didn't even touch
Oh,
the
oh, you know
overnight
why?
high.
I noticed that too. Usually they take out this,
Yeah,
and here's your big dog right there. Your
right.
big money was sitting right there because they wouldn't even let it touch it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
these were the big institutions right there.
yeah, yeah. It's really interesting to
So
recognize.
here's your red bar right there.
Yeah, to recognize the what's happening because when you can't do that, then oh, this
Big.
go go
Hmm.
short, my friend, go short.
Right. They
You know
wouldn't even let them
that
touch
should
it.
have been that
Yeah.
should have been that call. At
Hmm.
9, that opening,
Hmm.
just go short.
Well, it went up and down forever. Pissed
Yeah,
me off again, right?
yeah, yeah,
And then finally it capitulated.
yeah.
So,
10 o'clock.
yeah,
Yeah, right after 10. It just okay. Bye bye.
yeah. But this 5 minute opening range really is very key to trading in Q.
Yeah,
Um, so that break of that 5 minute opening range
yeah,
was the opening flood, and then it came back to test it
yeah,
right at the Globex high one,
yeah.
the weekly one, and then here was your daily one down here.
Right.
So there's two daily ones. There's another daily one too, but they were right together. So this meandering up and down was driving me crazy. I just wanted to gnaw my arm off, right?
Yeah.
Because you want that next move, and they deny you.
Right.
So they they flatten it out, want everybody to calm down because they don't want their spreads taken out. So
Right.
they slow the market
That
down.
that
Yeah.
14,740 was the time when it broke that,
Hmm.
where that green line is.
Yeah. So I think they had to move their risk down to the 7 and 8 day threes down here
Hmm.
because they didn't let them touch it. But um, if they did do 650, they were SOL because it was 649.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, yep.
Didn't get paid today. Didn't lose a lot, but didn't get paid. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Make them go all week without a paycheck. That doesn't happen very often.
Yep.
Well, and also, do you see how it dumped on the range
Yeah.
at the end of the day?
Hmm.
Um,
Very interesting.
yeah. Well,
It
that
did
was at
it did it
1500. I mean,
it
it
did
should
it
dump.
yesterday. Look at the same thing. The
Hmm.
day before it did the same thing.
Hmm. Well, it should. It's 1500, right?
Yeah. Oh,
So,
I see. I
yeah,
see.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right.
But it very clearly you can see that they're not gonna. You do technically have another hour.
Right.
They
Well, it's
they just
interesting.
stop
It's
it.
interesting. Yeah. Yesterday there was more back and forth going. Um,
I think that if I had shown some of these threes down here, the 7 or 8 day three, maybe that could have spurred it on. I don't know.
mhm.
I didn't show it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. What were you saying?
Oh, I'm just noticing the price fluctuation. Yesterday was there was a lot of bouncing. It was very um, yeah, there was a lot of bouncing back and forth. I just realized I just have to have a longer term time frame.
We really do. We really, really do. And pick your spots on support resistance and have a snapshot of where you think the market is going to go in today and try to,
Right.
hold for it or, you know, um, get out
Yeah.
if it's not behaving.
Right.
And this low float is very, very hard to trade on a short.
Right.
There's nothing I hate worse than low volatility short trades, and that's what we had today,
Hmm.
most of the afternoon.
Right.
So, really from before lunch to the end of the day, it was just crap.
Yep.
Crappy crap.
Yeah.
So, you got to take the crap to get to the gold.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta sit through it and bite your.
Hmm. It's hard. It is
Yeah.
hard. So,
Yeah.
all right, kiddo. Well, thank you for this chart review. I appreciate it. Maybe we can come back next Friday and take a look at the market and see where we are.
Okay.
All right,
Good.
kiddo. Have a
All
great
right.
weekend.
You
Thank you
too.
so much.
Thanks. Okay. Bye
All
bye.
right, bye bye.